Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Mr. Kadim Khan and I am a lecturer in the Institute of Computing, KUST University of Science and Technology. Today we will take lecture number 26 of the subject of software quality engineering, in which we will discuss the training used for software quality engineering. Dear students, often the organization conducts the trainings to improve the skills of their staff members. It is suggested to monitor the organization's employees for their skills, and yearly wise the training must be conducted. So in this lectures we are thoroughly discussing the trainings, why the training is so much important, what are the outcomes of the training for software quality engineering process. So this is very much important lectures and it should be conducted for organizations, that the training is very much mandatory there. So stay tuned with us. This is the discussion agenda. It contains the topics of the training outcomes. Here means that what are the advantages of the trainings. Then we have why we want to train, what topics needed for training. That means what topics need to train. That means that what are the topics required for training purpose. What does the trainings, who does the trainings? The people who are responsible for conducting the trainings, here we will discuss them. Then follow up the training means after the training what activities should be performed. And education and training is very much important here. Not only the training but education is almost very much important as like the training. And then we have education and training benefits. Here we will discuss different benefits of education and trainings here. But our main focus is on the software's quality and software engineering. It is not a generalized topic. It is in fact specific to the software quality. So you can use some topics for the another purpose as well, but mostly they are applied on software development and software engineering. Now what is the training? Basically the trainings are sessions in which some brainstormings and skills improvement sessions are conducted. So the trainings presents a primary opportunities to expand the knowledge base of all employees. So to expand the knowledge base means that to increase the knowledge of all our employees about their tasks, then the trainings is required here. Training and development provides both the individual as well as the organizations with the benefits that make the cost and time a worthwhile investment. Basically, we invest on the trainings with the help of some costs that are occurring on the trainings, because we have to hire certain experts people who will give the trainings to our employees, and also the time will be required to invest on the training. So there must be conduct some training sessions, workshops and seminars to improve the skills of the employees. Now the return after these two costs on the training is the development of employees and their braining capabilities. So the return on the investment from the training and development of the employees is really a no-brainer. Means that there is no match. When we will perform the trainings, then the skills and capabilities of our employees will be improved. Now the training outcomes. When we perform the training here through the workshop or through the teaching, then the development skills of the software engineers will be improved. Also, their skills about the technologies will be improved as well. Also, we need to perform some coaching. And the coaching will be local here. Means that the coaching can be performed by the team lead or from the project manager sides. And the training will improve the knowledge of our staff members as well as our software engineer. We can perform the training through the teaching as well. For example, when a staff member or a senior person has certain new skills about the software development, then he or she can conduct certain teaching sessions to the other employees. Sometimes the developers or the software engineer has to learn some new skill by itself. That is also the part of the training. Mean that the software project manager will suggest for the learning of new skills, then the software engineer will work on it and will learn the new technologies. Also, the high-level workshops and training sessions can be conducted. Basically, in workshop, the trainee has the trainer needs to provide the technical knowledge about the new skills and new technologies. So by all these things in fact makes a good contribution for the trainings. It is properly suggested that training is very much mandatory and it should be conducted at least once in the year. But it is more useful if we conduct the trainings after 6 months. Because in the rapid changes in the software development technologies, frequent trainings are very much mandatory. So we need to train the employees so that they gives us good benefits as a output, for example, to produce high quality software systems. Why we are conducting the trainings? The training is very much mandatory when the skills and knowledge needed by the new staff. So when we employ a new staff member, then the training is very much important so that the new staff members can easily obtain the knowledge about the environment as well as the tools used for software development. It also updates the skills of the old staff. We know that in the software industry, the tools and technologies are rapidly changing. So that's why we need to update the skills of the old staff by conducting different sort of trainings. Also, it assures the conformity to the standards. We have different standards and the standards requires the training. The standards are in fact very much important to follow in the software development. For example, we have to follow the code standards. Also, we require the documentation standards. Also, we require the programming standard as well and design standards so much. So for all these standards, we need a good trainings. Also, the trainings teach the proper use of software quality assurance procedures and their purpose. So, basic purpose of software quality assurance is to embed the quality in the software products. So, all this is possible because of the trainings. Also, the training is very much important because when we have the ISO or CMMI appraisals, then we must have to conduct the trainings according to the ISO and CMMI standards. Because it is the ISO and CMMI requirements that the training must be conducted for the development of the staff. Now, what topics needs in trainings for software quality assurance and also for the software engineer? So, software engineering requires case tool understanding, estimation tools understanding, and procedure used for the programming. So, all these things will be in fact improved or can be obtained through the trainings. So, when new staff are hired, then we require the tools trainings, estimation tools trainings, and the procedure required for the programming trainings. Do training requires for the big companies or it is mandatory for the small companies? The answer of this question is that training is required for all sort of the companies, even if it is a big and even if it is a small companies. So training is very much important for all sort of companies. because small companies has to improve and they have to become a big companies one day. So that's why training is important for small companies. And the big companies also requires trainings because of the competition with the another big companies. So that's why training is very much important here. Now, in terms of software quality assurance or SQE, software quality engineering, we also require the trainings because software quality assurance and software quality engineering, the main focus is on the testing. So that's why the testing tools requires the trainings, and the methods used for testing as well require the training. Peer review procedure and checklist also requires the trainings. Because when we want to review the softwares to the peers, that is the other people that are in the stakeholders, so we requires the peer review. And how these peer reviews and checklists will be conducted, it requires the trainings. When does software quality assurance training occurs? So basically, the software quality assurance occurs at least annually. So it means that by annually there requires the software trainings for software quality assurance. Now, who gets the software assurance trainings? The software assurance trainings, as we discussed earlier, is that the new fresh employee requires the trainings. Also, the other employees who are not aware of the new technology, they also require the training as well. So training is mandatory for each and every persons that are working in the software industry. Who does the training? It means that the organization who will perform the training for our own organization. The trainings can be conducted through in-house training units, also through the vocational schools, also through the commercial technical trainers as well. The in-house training units means that the specific unit that is specific for the training purpose only, they will train our people or our employees. This unit will be the part of the development organization. So the organization must have certain institute or certain unit who will be responsible for the training. Also, we can invite the vocational schools. Vocational schools are those schools or institutes who have the vocational or technical educations training sessions. And they have the knowledge about the new tools and technologies as well. So these people will be invited for the organizations to conduct the trainings there. Also, the commercial and technical trainers can also perform the trainings. So the commercial technical trainers are those people who are working commercially for the only and only training purpose. For example, when we need a higher versions of the when we want to do programming in a higher version of the Visual Studio, then the Microsoft organizations requires for the training for our organization. So Microsoft trainers will come and they will be invited and they will in fact train our own organization staff members. So when are these appropriate? Means that this is a question that when these trainings are these the above three are appropriate for the training purpose. So when these are appropriate, basically these are appropriate when the new fresh graduates are employed and their proper training is required. Also when the new technology is marketed, then we also require to learn the new technology. For this purpose, training is very much mandatory there. Also, when we have to compete with other organizations and we have to monitor and learn new skills about the products that will make our product much better than the other products. So for the competition purpose, we also require the trainings there. That's why training is very much important for software quality assurance products. And most important, follow-up training is very much important. So when after trainings, the skills of the employees should be monitored as well. So it means that the project manager is responsible for monitors the skills and the capabilities of the staff members that after the trainings, whether they are improved or not. So we need to follow up the trainings. That means that we must have to follow all the new skills that has been um, taught to us in the training sessions. Now, why we follow up and how do we follow up? We should follow up because basically most of the trainings are very much expensive and mostly we travel from one country to the other countries for training purpose only, and they requires a lot of budget and time consuming as well. So that's why we should follow up the trainings. Now, how do we follow up? Simply by creating notes and by performing the experts practice on the training. So we have to do a lot of practice on that material that has been provided for us during the training sessions. So we can follow the training only when we have to follow all the instructions that has been provided to us in the trainings. Now, dear students, education and training benefits us a lot. So there are a lot of benefits of education and trainings when we perform the training for software quality engineering. So first of all, number one, education and training provides people-based solution for error source eliminations. In the software quality engineering, the main problems are the errors in the source code. That means that all defects and bugs that are occurring during the development in the source codes. So in the education and trainings, we require to eliminate or to recover from all these source codes. So that is only possible when we have a lot of training and skills with us. Number two, education and training of the software professional can help them to control, manage, and improve the way they work. In organizations, when we are working, then the project managers has to control, manage, and improve the work or the task of the employees. So only it is possible through the education and training. The software project manager has to control the work of the employees, that whether they are performing according to the specific standards or they are producing the right scores for us. Also, the, the staff members are in fact producing the good productivity rates of tasks. So then the training is required. And if there are certain problems that the project manager has to manage that particular problems. And then the project manager has to improve all the skills and the capabilities of the staff members. All this is possible through the education and training. Number three, the elimination of these human misconceptions will help to prevent certain types of faults from being injected into the software products. Sometimes we inject our unintentionally or through the some mistakenly we inject the software's faults in the products, and then when the product is installed on the user environment or it is properly deployed, then the users provides us the feedback about the products, and mostly they complain about the software faults or bugs. So through the trainings, all the human misconception will be resolved. That means that the, the software engineers only mistakenly makes the faults in the project, but they do not do that intentionally. So through the good trainings of the software engineer as well as the training of the user as well, then these certain faults and errors in the software products will be eliminated. Now, what are different benefits that can be obtained through the education and training for software quality engineering? Number one is the product and domain specific knowledge. Through the education and trainings, we can get the informations or knowledge about the domain and product. So, if the staff members involved are not familiar with the product types or application domains, so there is a good chance that the wrong solution will be implemented. Product informations and domain knowledge is very much important during the software development. If our staff members have a complete knowledge about the product, for example, if he or she is responsible to develop the mobiles applications, then the Android knowledge about the product and domain is required here. So the software engineer must be aware of the Android, and also he or she must be aware about the database system that will be integrated with the Android technologies in Java. For example, here he must or she must have the knowledge about the Firebase or SQLite. Examples is that the developers unfamiliar with the embedded software systems. Embedded software system are those systems which uses a certain chips or microcontrollers as a processor. So without the design knowledge of the embedded software system, considering its environment constraints will lead to various interface and interaction problems between the software and its physical surroundings. So the software engineer must have the knowledge about the all sort of microcontrollers first. For example, the software engineer should have the knowledge about the Raspberry Pi, that how the Raspberry Pi is working, what sort of the programming is required here, how the particular chip when it is programmed in the Raspberry Pi, then how we can interface or integrate with it, other physical components. So then, if the software engineering is unaware of a certain knowledge, then the system developed by that particular software engineering will be full of bugs and it will be defective system. General software development knowledge and expertise can also be improved through the education and trainings. So the general software development knowledge includes the knowledge about the software process models followed and the knowledge about the testings and knowledge about the development, designings and so on. So also it plays an important role in the development of high quality products. For example, the lack of expertise with the requirement analysis and product specification usually leads to many problems and reverse in subsequent designs, coding and testing activities. The analyst should have the knowledge about the requirements, that is the software requirement specification documents, that how we can get requirements from the customers, how we will analyze the requirements and how we will document that requirements in a specific formats. So here all the IEEE formats are required for the requirement analysis, and also we need the other information about the other fields such as the designing, coding and testing as well. So all these phases must be fully covered in the good training sessions. If a designer is not aware of the different patterns used in the UML, then automatically the softwares will be defective system. And the programmer should be aware of all coding standards here. And specifically, the programmer has the knowledge about the domain of the programming. For example, if a person is performing programming in the .NET frameworks, then that particular programmer must be aware of each and every classes that are required for the development of the project. Similarly, the testers should have the knowledge about the all sort of the test, that is the unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing, and black box testing, white box testing, and each and every testings uh, should be should have full knowledge about the testing. So the software engineer must have the knowledge about each and every phase of the software development. And if there is some lack of expertise with one phase, the another phases will be disturbed. For example, the requirement phase is has a certain problems in the requirement phase, then the design, coding, and testing phase will also be affected, and reverse is required here as well. The whole benefits of education and training is the knowledge about the specific development methodologies and tools. For example, we have multiple methodologies used for software developments, like the object-oriented methodology is one of them. So if the developers has the knowledge about the different objects and classes used for the development, also the OOPS concepts like the inheritance, encapsulation, compositions, generalization, similarly the um, object overloading, similarly function overriding, function overloading, all these concepts should be clear to the developers. And for this purpose, the training is required here. So that plays important roles in the developing of high quality software products. Here is the examples of the implementation issues that, for example, in an implementation of a clean room technology, that is Mills et al. 1987b, that is the reference of this example. If the developers are not familiar with the key components of formal verification and statistical testing, so then there is a chance for the producing the high quality products. There is little chance, in fact, for producing the high quality products. So all sort of the knowledge is required about that particular activities. Here, the formal verification or statistical testing is discussed, that the tester should have the knowledge about the all sort of the verification and statistical based testing, that is the usage based software testing, which is based on the operational profile of the users. So if the tester is not aware of all sort of the knowledge, then there is a less chance of producing the high quality products there. Next benefit of the training and education is the knowledge about the software process used by the organization. There are multiple software processes that can be used by the organization. For example, waterfall model, prototyping model, spiral model, incremental models, CAM and CAM models, that is the COM models and component object models. So the employee should have the knowledge about all sort of the process that are used in the software for the software development in that particular organizations. So if the project persons do not have a good understandings of the all sort of the software development process that are used for the development in the organization, then there's a little chance that the process can be implemented correctly. First, we have to train our employees that the particular process will be used in our organizations. What are different phases for using of this particular process, and then we can expect the good outcomes from the employee. For example, if the people involved in the incremental software development process are not aware that how the individual team development efforts for the different increments that will be integrated with each other, and uncoordinated development then maybe lead to interface and interaction problems, because in the incremental process we have multiple increments and they are integrated with each other to form the final softwares. Then if they have no knowledge about the interfacings of different components with each other, then the interaction and interface problem will rise here. And here the incremental model is one of the development model. Similarly, if a spiral model is used for the development, then the staff member must have a good knowledge about the spiral model. That what is the focus of the spiral model? In the spiral model, the main focus is on the risk that occurs in the software development. So, how these risks will occurs and what are the chances of or consequences that this project may be failed due to that risk, and how we can resolve or eliminate the effectiveness of this risk. So here the project manager has the responsibility to train his or her staff so that they have a good knowledge about the software development process models. Now, dear students, this is the end of this lectures. This is an important book for you, the theory and practices of the training. This book is written by Roger Buckley and James Capel. So you should download this box and you should read this box if you want to be a good trainer. Also, if you have any questions, you can ask the questions through the email. My email is m.kadim@kust.edu.pk. I will wait for your questions and will respond you immediately as soon as I get your questions on the email. So that is the end of the lectures. Thank you very much.